Hi guys, nice to meet you if you're new here, nice to see you if you're not new here. I'm Lara, this is Tipsy. She's always here, always here. It's probably because I'm talking to a camera and you think I'm talking to you, huh? It's finally time to talk about 2025 book releases. I have been preparing a list, a very long, unneeded, but also super needed list of all the books that are coming out in the new year. I did this video last year when I was kind of doing Bookmas. I did a little bit, but I didn't do the full like 12 or 24 days, or I think I did 6 videos or something like that. If I'm not doing a new releases for the year video, then I kind of don't really know what's coming out when they're coming out. There's like a couple books here and there that I'm like, oh, that's coming out next year. No clue when it's coming out. I don't think you can see this, but I have a list of like all the books that I'm excited for, or I think you might be excited for, or think we should get excited for, that are coming out next year. So let's get super comfy because this is going to be a long video. Buckle in. Let's look at the 2025 book releases. We are being fed next year. With all the new book releases, there are so many good books coming out, and I'm so excited to finally start reading again and enjoying reading and getting these new books. First few books that I'm going to talk about are my most anticipated books of the new year. Then I have a ton for other people that I'm not super excited about, but you're probably super excited about, and I have some that I've never heard of the author before, but the book looks really interesting, really intriguing. My most anticipated book of the new year is The Jetted Crown, which is the second book in the Scorched Throne duology by Sarah Hisham. I read The Jetted Heir this year at the beginning of the year. I think I read it in January, and it's still my number one book. Number one book of the year, 6, 7, 10-star read. I love that book so much. The Jetted Crown comes out next year on July 15th, so I still have a ways to wait for it, but The Jetted Heir was my top book of the year. Out of all the books I read this year, number one. So I'm so excited for that book, and I think it's gonna be amazing. I think the way The Jetted Heir ended, I need the second book. Then my second most anticipated book of the new year, and I'm sure you've heard of it. I'm sure you are also so excited that it's coming out. We have Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. It comes out March 18th, which I feel like we just got this release announcement, but it's already coming out in March, which is just a couple months away. We have Haymitch and his second quarter quill. We get like a hint of Haymitch's games, double the tributes and his ally, but it's just like a little sprinkle, and it makes you want to know more. Next, we have Watch Me by Tahita Mafi. It is a spin-off, but still in the same world as the Shatter Me characters. I really don't know anything about this book, and I'm gonna keep not knowing anything about this book. I just know that we're in the same world, but it's different. You're gonna still see all your favorite characters, but that's it. That's all I know. It comes out April 15th. For a romance book on this list, we have Wild Side by Elsie Silver. You guys, I think this is gonna be the best book in the Rose Hill series. It's the third book in the Rose Hill series. You are following single dads in each book, or this is gonna be the third one. We get so much of these characters in the first and the second book, and he's so grumpy, but I can see him being so grumpy but so in love with this girl. I think that's what it's gonna be. I believe this book is going to be the best book in the entire series. I don't know how many books are in the series. I would assume 5, but I don't know. I just think it'll be the best one. That comes out March 4th. I feel like I keep saying I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I do keep saying that. I know I do. But I'm also just so excited for this next book. Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. It comes out April 1st. This one has forced proximity, long distance, dual point of view, cinnamon roll, MMC, and complicated family dynamics, which we see a lot in her books, and I love it. I love Abby Jimenez. And I could literally read scribbles by Abby. I didn't know about this book until more recently. The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. It comes out May 20th. It is a new series. She wrote the Shepherd King duology, which is One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns. I read One Dark Window, loved it. And then Two Twisted Crowns, I read like 30% of it, but I read it when I was having just so much trouble reading in general. So I think I'm gonna restart that book. Anyways, this is a completely new series. Romantasy Phenomenon, a gothic miscloaked tale of prophetess who is forced beyond the safety of her cloister on an impossible quest to defeat the gods with the one knight whose future is beyond her sight. I really enjoyed One Dark Window. It was definitely a 5-star read, and I think I'm really going to enjoy Two Twisted Crowns when I reread it. And the duology just together is amazing. Have I read the second book like I said? No, but I have read some of it. I just want to reread it. Also, the cover is just really pretty. Then we have Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonham Young. This one comes out January 28th, which is just around the corner. It's about a married couple who's not doing super great, so they go to a wilderness retreat to help save their marriage. It sounds really cute. I loved Out on a Limb. I haven't read her other books, but I've heard really good things about them. And then this one, Out of the Woods, has some really good reviews from people who have gotten the art copy of it. On March 4th, Oathbound by Tracy Deonn comes out, which is the third book in the Legendborn trilogy. I haven't read the second book, but I read Legendborn, really loved it, want to reread it so I can read Bloodmarked. Oathbound is the third book in that trilogy, and I really need to get around to rereading Legendborn so I can finish the series when Oathbound comes out in a couple of months. The last book that I have on this list that I'm super excited to come out is Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston. It comes out on June 17th, so right before my birthday, little birthday present. It's about a songwriter and a musician, and it still has magical realism in it, which is just like a touch in her books that I absolutely love. That my favorite part about the Dead Romantics was the dead. Love that part. Sounds a little bit crazy, but love that part. And then the 7-Year Slip, my favorite part in those books was in the apartment with the magical aspect in it. So I know I'm gonna love it. I just know. Those are the books that I'm super excited to come out in the new year. The next however many books that I have on this list, I don't know too much about them, but I know that some of you might be super excited for them. Some of them are books that I would like to get to, or I thought were really interesting, or they're like the next book in the series, but I haven't read the first book, even though I want to read them. First, we have Eltridge by Carrie Lake, probably butchered the name of that. That one comes out April 1st. It is the second book to Anathema. I really want to read Anathema. I've heard really good reviews about it. It was on my November TBR, didn't get around to it, but I want to get around to it. But this is the second book in that duology. Then also in April on the 15th, Wild and Wrangled comes out by Lila Sage. It's the 5th book? The 4th book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series. I've not read any of these books, but the covers are all so beautiful. I want to read them. The covers themselves, I don't know what they're about. They look like comics, and like the tattoos and the way they're just cute. They're very pretty covers, and that's what makes me want to read them. I'm not sure what these series is about. I do want to try and read Done and Dusted is the first book in that series. I think they're on Kindle Unlimited, so I think I'm going to try and get to that book next year. And maybe I'll love it and just like fly through all the books. I know for all of the Emily Henry lovers out there, Great Big Beautiful Life comes out April 22nd. 2 writers compete for the chance to tell the larger-than-life story of a woman with more than a couple of plot twists up her sleeve. Tragic heiress, former tabloid princess, and a daughter of one of the most storied and scandalous families of the 20th century. Another April release, April 28th, Enchantra by Kaylee Smith comes out, and that's the second book in the Wicked Games series. The first book is Phantasma. I've heard really good things about Phantasma. It's about a deadly competition, and it's romantasy. It's spicy, and the main character's name is Ophelia, which I think is just literally such a gorgeous name. Then we have Left of Forever by Tara DeWitt, which comes out May 29th. It's a second chance romance of these kids who fell in love. They had a son when they were teenagers. They were meant to be together until they weren't meant to be together. They divorced, and then their son is going off to college, and they obviously take him to college, and then on their way home, they're driving back to their little small town in Oregon, and they're like, maybe we should try again. Yet another cover that is absolutely stunning. I just am a sucker for covers. A cover will judge a book by its cover. Yeah, unpopular opinion, I judge books by covers. Because if a cover is just gorgeous in itself, I'm gonna buy it. And that's it. Jumping ahead to October 7th of next year, The Ballad of Fallen Dragons by Sarah H. Parker. It is the second book in the Moonhatch? Is it Moonhatch? Moonfall Second book of the Moonfall series. The first book is When the Moon Hatched. Everybody was talking about this book just a couple of months ago. Everybody was talking about how good it was and how amazing it was. And then we have the second book coming out in October. So I need to read the first book so I can get to this book. Do I know what they're about? I know they're about dragons. Romantasy, that's all I've really got. I know it's a really big book, but I know so many people love it. So in theory, I'm gonna love it. That's not how that works, but we're just gonna pretend. Then on February 4th, which is also just around the corner, we have Deep End by Allie Hazelwood. It's a college romance about a diver and a swimmer. I think they're trying to compete to get into the Olympics. I read Checkmate, which I absolutely love that book, but it is a YA book. But I'm excited to try and read more Allie Hazelwood. I know so many people adore her and her writing, and I just want to be one of those people. Please. Then also in February 11th, we have Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales by Heather Fawcett. That's a long title. It's gorgeous. Let me start off by saying that. Gorgeous cover. I have not read Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies or the second book. I can't think of what it's called. I have both of them. I have the Barnes & Noble exclusive ones because they're just gorgeous. And I will be getting this one. I haven't read them though. I just know it's about studying fairies, and the fairies are not what we think they are. And then there's this boy coming along with her and she thinks he's annoying. That's kind of all I know, and I could be wrong. Scythe and Sparrow by Bryn Weaver also comes out February 11th. It's the third book in the, I can't remember what the series is called, but it's the third book to Butcher and Blackbird. It is a serial killer romance. I believe they're both serial killers. Another murderous romance. Then we have Rebel Witch by Christine Sersely, I think is how you say her last name. That one comes out February 18th. It is the second book to Crimson Moth. This one I'm excited for. Immortal by Sue Lynn Tan. It comes out January 7th, which is literally just a couple weeks away. I'm excited about this one. It sounds really interesting. It says, a stunning standalone romantic fantasy filled with dangerous secrets, forbidden magic, and a passion of a young ruler who fights to protect her kingdom. Okay. Our Infinite Fates by Laura Stephen comes out March 4th. Also has an interesting premise. It's a fantastical love story that defies death as two souls reincarnate through the centuries. They've loved each other in 1,000 lifetimes. They've killed each other in every one. Evelyn remembers all her past lives. She also remembers that in every single one, she's been murdered before her 18th birthday by Arden, a supernatural being whose soul and survival is tethered to hers. That one sounds amazing. I love doing this video because I'm finding so many books that I'm getting excited for. I'm excited to add these to the cart. Then A Fate Forged in Fire by Hazel McBride comes out May 27th. A Celtic-inspired fantasy romance. It's a duology. She's the first queen in centuries, powerfully blessed blacksmith, born to rule and blessed by fire. Then Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan comes out May 13th. It is the third book in the Skyland series. I read Before I Let Go and I really enjoyed that book. That book made me cry. It made me emotional. I have not read the second book, but the third book is coming out, which means I need to read the second book so I can read the third book. The next one comes out March 4th. It's called Promise Me Not by Cara Bastone. It's the same author who wrote Ready or Not, and I know a lot of people love that book. I have it. I'm waiting to read it. Don't you worry, I'm going to. Slow burn romance, Grumpy Sunshine. There's also grief in the story, so read the trigger warning before you pick this book up. Then we have Illusions of Fire by Nisha Sharma. This is the same author who wrote Dating Dr. Dill. Let's take a moment for the cover, because look at it. This one comes out February 4th. It says, unlike most of her classmates, Lila doesn't roll out of bed and head to school. Instead, she wakes up early and trains in hand-to-hand combat with her adopted aunts, who, when not tending to their thriving vineyard, are immortal Rakshasi demons sworn to protect Lila. That in its own, don't need to read the rest of it. That sounds really interesting. Romance, magic, mythology, and contemporary young adult urban fantasy novel. My no spend next year is literally... The last one I'm going to talk about is called Fable for the End of the World by Ava Reed, who also wrote A Study in Drowning, which is also a very beloved book. This one comes out March 4th. The Last of Us meets The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and the dystopian standalone romance about survival, sacrifice, and love that risks everything. It is also a sapphic romance, and this cover is also stunning. That is all the books that I'm going to talk about today. I've been filming for well over an hour and my battery is flashing. So those are all the books that I'm going to talk about today. These are the new releases for 2025. Super excited about these. Super gorgeous covers. We are being fed next year. Let me know what you're excited about next year, or if you have any new releases that I missed that we should all be excited about. Other than that, I hopefully will see you next time. Bye! Thanks for watching.